Hello, everybody, and welcome to I'm Just Saying with NJ. Tonight's panelists are Michael and Nay, who've been married for 9 years and describes their marriage as blessed. We also have Tabin and Katrina, who've been married for 10 years. Their marriage has been lived, adjusted, and renewed. Our host for this evening, NJ.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you back to another episode of I'm Just Saying. I've had some amazing married couples for the month of August, but joining me tonight, we have Michael and Nay, and we have Tabin and Katrina. I'd like to welcome y'all to another episode of I'm Just Saying. Those of you first time listening, watching us on YouTube or Facebook, please put a comment in the comment section and let us know that this is your first time watching. But we're going to jump right in. So my first question tonight to my two couples are, what was the one thing that attracted you to your mate? I'm just saying. Whichever couple could answer first. Okay, Katrina.
You go first. Oh, me. Oh, I would say that he was really he was really easygoing. He never yelled at me or anything like that. He always made me just laugh out loud, and he had a love for God. So I think all those things combined, it was just, I enjoyed his company. He was a good friend.
Okay.
Sorry, my bad.
So Taylor,
that was the first time I saw her, of course, I was attracted to her. I mean, I thought she was attractive. And then as I got to know her, it was also her love for God, her personality. But I was really looking for someone that was going to be in ministry. So that was really caught me. She was dedicated to pursuing that relationship with God in a genuine sense. So that really kind of hooked me at that point.
Michael.
Well, I try my best to keep it PG. 13.
No, keep it real.
Nah, I mean, to be honest, I would tell my wife this all the time, man. What attracted me when I seen her booty, I said, oh, she built kind of well. And so what I did, real quick story is, her second job was at Pizza Hut. That's where I was working when I was younger. And I actually broke into the manager's office to steal her number out of the book that had everyone's number in it. And I called her and I asked her out, and she said yes, and it's been over ever since.
This is a true story?
Yes. True story.
Wow. Hilarious.
Nay.
Well, I would say for me, honestly, when I first seen him, I was like, oh God, nerd alert. Like, I thought he was a nerd, like when I first seen him. So
because I wore my pants to my waist, where my belly button is. I didn't sag my pants, so I'm a nerd. Get out of here.
Anyway, when I first saw him, I thought he was a nerd. But over time, spending time with him, like, of course, because we work together 3 or 4 days a week, spending time with him for hours, and then his personality, that's really what kind of attracted me to him, because he was funny, and everybody, as you can see, he's his personality. So that's pretty much what kind of caught me.
You pulled that belt down.
But Nay, we got something in common, because I thought Taven was corny. I was like, Lord, he corny. I was like, he corny.
You're judging a book by its cover, right?
Exactly.
Oh, this is going to be good. I can tell already tonight. Okay, so what is the one thing you remember most about your wedding, the wedding day?
That's easy. It was the worst snowstorm in Virginia history. It was a blizzard. I was joking with the pastor. I was like, are we still going to be able to get married? Do we have to get some Alaskan snow dogs and a sled to get to the church? Yeah, that's what I remember. It was the worst snowstorm in history. And people still came, though. That was the blessing.
Now, see, it's interesting that that's what he remembers about our wedding day. Because what I remember about our wedding day was when he showed up with no white basketball socks on with his tuxedo, because he didn't pack his dress socks. And when he kneeled down to take my garter, and them white socks was showing. So I was like, oh, you had one job. You just had one job.
It worked for Michael Jackson, so why not?
One job. That's all I remember.
It would be the best.
I love it.
That was a better choice.
Wow.
Nay, what was the one thing you remember the most about your wedding?
It's so funny that he said a snowstorm because we got married in Louisiana during hurricane season, and it was a hurricane tropical storm during our wedding. Like, so it's funny, like, so we had to rearrange. Like, we were supposed to have a horse and carriage, and yeah, it was so funny. So like all this transportation, like we had planned for the wedding party, so we had no transportation, so we had to rearrange everything. And like we had no ride from the reception because like we got dropped off and like the reception was over. We was like, how are we supposed to get So that was very memorable. I think also too, like you said, like Taven said, regardless of the fact, our family and they still showed up like in great numbers, like regardless of the fact that the ceiling was about to fly off and the rain was coming. I mean, literally, they showed up in the hundreds, so that showed us that we were really loved and blessed. So
yeah.
Oh, that's nice, Michael.
For me, man, I kind of took a page out of the movie 27 Dresses. I always loved how my wife looked and the way she dressed. I even like when men try to holler at her, but they don't like how I kind of don't like it because I'm a little jealous. I'm ready to tear their neck off. Anyways, my point is, in the movie 27 Dresses, the guy that's writing the reviews and all these weddings, whatever he does, he says the favorite part of the wedding is when the bride comes out and he looks at the groom to see how he looks when he looks at his wife. So I just remember how beautiful my wife was, when she walked out, you know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because that night before, she had a good time. And I don't know how she made it to wedding. I thought I was about to be free. I said, oh, I'm single again. Yes. But she don't make it to this wedding. But she showed up. I don't know how she made it. But she looked beautiful as ever. I do remember that.
That's nice. So my question to you gentlemen, out of all the women you dated, why did you pick her? We're going to start with you first, Michael.
Why
was she?
Again, I keep it PG-13. I'll be honest. The reason why I fell in love with my wife because she did not, for better lack of a word, give me some on the first date. I don't like to be conceited, but I blame my father because he made me. But women, they did kind of, attract towards me or come towards me very easily. And when she, I'm ready to take her back in the house, what's up? And she was like, I don't think so. So I said, okay, it's something different, because to be honest, if it would have happened, I probably would have moved on to the next because that's just regular thing for me when I was growing up. So it was something different, and that's how I grew to love her.
Taven?
I think for me, because we were both in our 30s by the time we got married, what I was looking for kind of changed at that point. When I was younger, I didn't care if she went to church or not. I kind of preferred if she didn't, because there was a lot of things I would have wanted to do. So when I got older, that preference changed. And when I started looking, she had a lot of the qualities that I wanted at that point. I knew I was going to get married and I was looking for someone I wasn't going to settle. And when I met her, the more I got to know her, the more I got to see she had all those qualities. And that made her stand out to me versus even other people, even other women that were at the church. She had more than they offered.
Okay. So ladies, my question to you is, out of all the men you dated and the opportunities you came across, why did you say yes?
I can answer for her. Look at me. Look at me.
Well, first of all, they need to answer how many men were they with before.
Well, you want me to go first? Go ahead. Well, when I met Taven, I was over the singles ministry, and I was trying to teach women how to live single and be happy, right? So when he was trying to approach me, I felt like he was from the enemy trying to get me off my game. Because I was trying to teach people that you can be single and happy, right? So he was like persistent, and I mean, he was trying to talk to me. And then one time he finally came up and said he liked me, and I remember I said, "Can't you like somebody else?" Because there was other people. Because it was he's right. There was other people at the church that liked him, and I knew this. I was like, "Can't you talk to one of them?" I was like, "Because I'm good." But he was like, "Well, I want to talk to you," and he was like very persistent and just calling and texting. Like before we started talking on the phone, we would have long emails. And my joke is he wrote novels and I wrote soliloquies. So we would only send one email a day because that's just how long the emails would be. And so it was like literally he just started like playing on my heartstrings. And finally, because like I said, I didn't want to be married. I was like, I'm good. I'm living my best life. But he kept playing on my heartstrings. He was so easy to talk to. And then finally, I literally had to have several dreams that he was the one, because I was like not accepting it. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And it was like I started having heartburn. Like every time the word love came into my heart would start burning. Like I was like, oh. I was like, oh, this way. Like, this is not what I want. And so finally, I just kind of just admitted that, okay, I love you too. And then when I did that, the heartburn went away. So I knew he was the one then, like after several dreams and after his consistency, we just had a really good friendship.
And she was catching everything I was throwing. You let her tell it.
Oh my gosh.
Player.
Nay.
I think like for me, two things. For one, because we became friends, like literally, like he said, the whole, me not giving in to him, like that was literally for months. Like we waited a long time. So within that time, we were able to become friends. And I mean, literally, like we would sit and talk for. I mean, I would pull up and we would sit outside literally at 8:00, and before we knew it, it's 5:00 in the morning. Like no lie. Like, and that happened like for months and months. And even though I was still going out to the club and stuff, I would be like calling from the club, 2:00, hey, I'm on my way. You know what I'm saying? We sit outside. Even after I went out, and when I met him, like he just got out the Christian program. So he didn't, believe it or not, he didn't curse. He didn't, he didn't drink. Like he was a born again Christian. So
Sinisa, she's the devil. El diablo, mira esta.
Whatever. So, and I had literally just got out of like a really abusive relationship, like right before joining the Navy. So I met him a couple of months in the Navy. So, able to have someone to talk to. And then, like I said, we became friends, like real friends, like literally, like I can always call. He always picked up the phone. We always talk. And then secondly, he accepted me for who I was, regardless of all the baggage and everything that I brought into it, like all the issues that I had, insecurities, like everything that I had because of my previous relationship, he still accepted me for who I was. So.
Ah, Michael, you all right?
That's all right.
He said I'm all right. Well, I ain't left.
Okay, so when it comes to marriage, the average young lady, little girl, she dreams and plans about having this wonderful big wedding. And then when she gets of age and the opportunity finally happens, her and the mate, y'all plan for a wedding. So you have all this opportunity to plan to be a bride or a groom. But how do you plan to be a wife and a husband? I'm just saying.
Oh man, man, we just got deep, man. Oprah, chill out.
Yes, it just got deep because a bride is just for a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that kind of goes in line with how I look at it.
So you plan all of those things to be a to be a bride. But what happens? The wedding is over. Now I got to be a wife.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing when you hear people say, you know, anyone could be, you know, a dad, but it takes a real man to be a father. Dig what I'm saying? So, you know, for me, it just takes time. You grow together. Things change. We had a child. We bought homes. You know, it's just a lot that goes into it. But it's more for me, just submitting to her. You know, I may always disagree with her because she is never right. But yet I'm like, you know what, baby, it's all gravy. I know I was supposed to make a left, but if I make 3 rights, we still can get there, baby. You right. You know.
I feel you, Nay.
Can we pass the office?
I feel you, Nay.
Where can I swipe my card and send this time?
Yeah. But she one thing that she really taught me since I've been with her is seeing 2 sides to everything. You know, because I'm hot-headed, you know, I'm a Taurus, how she always explains to me that I'm stubborn, you know, but she taught me how to look at it different ways, you know, and I really, you know, appreciate it for that. So over time, it definitely works itself out, but you got to be the bigger person sometimes to, you know, just bite your lip, you know, because what is it worth? But sometimes you get into a simple argument. These kids nowadays, the only thing they look forward to a wedding. You know, it was, you know, me growing up in the 80s and whatnot, it was different back then versus now in 2020 or 2010. These kids don't look for that. You know, marriage is almost like 7-Eleven. You're going in and out, you know, 24/7. You get the next one, you know, but we cherished it. You know, and that's one of the main reasons I'm a chatter, so I'm going to try to keep it simple. But that's one of the main reasons why it took me so long to marry her, because I was scared that I was going to let her down, that, you know, I always was a womanizer. And my father was. That's why my mother left him. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking I'm going to be like him. You know, I don't want to hurt her. You know, and I'm thinking in my mind, if we get married, it's too much paperwork. I got to go through attorneys to get divorced. We might as well just be together, because we had a conversation like that before. She was mad at me one time. She said, "Well, what you think we in this together for?" I said, "I don't know. Enjoy the ride while it lasts," or something like that. I said, yo, she was hot. I'm telling you, she was so mad. But I had to sit back and seen the 2 ways that she taught me. You know what I'm saying? What are we in it for? And we're in it for the long haul. So, again, I really appreciate it. Sorry for taking up most of the time.
That's
Go
good.
ahead, Dave. Oh, no, it's on him. It's the men's one, ain't it?
Nope, it's both of y'all.
Oh, both of us, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I mean, he said most things that I agree with, but I think
See what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? Right there, brother. Right there, brother.
Hey, man.
no, because according to him, I always have to be right, which is not the case. You know, no, no, no.
Oh man,
That is not
true. You are sisters, and you guys didn't know it.
No, that is not the case. I don't always have to be right. And I do compromise. And I think too, with being a wife, like, we have to compromise. That's a big word. Compromising and also picking our battles. Like he said, you know, sometimes something small is not worth the argument. So with him being a very, very stubborn individual, I have to pick my battles. So sometimes it's like, you know, is it worth, you know, an argument, or just say, you know what, you're right, whatever, you got it.
So see, when they say that right there, that's like they still not like they want to start it. Okay, whatever. Yeah, you got it. You right. That's a lot. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
That's not agreement. That's still saying I'm right, but I'll let you think you're
Exactly.
right.
I really won, but you can have it.
It's a beautiful day
I
outside.
think on that point, I would say we'll agree to disagree. That's what I'll say at that point.
That's still a loss for me.
We'll
Basically.
agree to disagree. But like, no, seriously, like, I think for real, like, to be a wife, I think for us, I'm really big on friendship. And people are like, they laugh at me, but I'm like, seriously, like, we've been living together for 17, 18 years now. But it's crazy how, no lie, not as much now because he's working from home, but seriously, like, when I leave to go to work, we both leave to go to work, we'll call each other on the way driving to work. Like, we didn't just leave the house. And, you know, but we'll talk on the phone while we driving to work. Be like, all right, well, I'll call you later. And it's like, while I'm at work, what you doing? I'm calling him at work. What you doing? And like seriously, like, or we places and we see something and we look at each other and we'll both bust out laughing because before we even say it, we know what each other are thinking. So it's like for me, seriously, like I'm not only a wife, I think I'm really his friend, like for real, and he's my friend. So and just like through any friendship, any relationship, I think, you know, you have disagreements, but it's okay to disagree. It's okay not to agree on everything because you're not. If you have if I couldn't be with a yes man. I'm not even lying to you. I could not be with a yes man. So if he just agreed and said yes to me on everything, he'd be to the curb. Because I'm like, I need somebody to put their foot down sometime. Every once in a while, say, shut up and sit down. And once in a while, I just need you to tell me to be quiet and sit down. Because, you know what I'm saying? I can't deal with somebody that's just going to say, okay, honey, it's all right. You got it. Now, I need that strong to say, if something popped off, I know you got my back. So if you let me get away with everything, then I'm gonna be wondering if something popped up. I'm like, well, wait a minute, do I gotta protect me and you? Because you know, you know, I'm wondering, you know. I'm just, you know, like which one, you know. But seriously though, like that has been my whole thing. You know, for me, it becomes like a wife is second to friend to me, honestly. Like I really am. I really truly see myself as his friend, then his
wife. Okay. Katrina?
The question. What is it? What's the question?
I prepared you to be a wife.
Okay, so that's what I want to say. I never wanted to be a wife, number one, because I had never seen a healthy marriage. So that's why I never, you know, when most people are dreaming about their wedding day and stuff, I never had those dreams because I looked at marriage like, why would somebody want to do that? That's just horrible. Like, that was my opinion. So I think for me, friendship was very important. Like, we had to become friends before we were anything else, because there are times in our marriage when we have challenges that I don't like him as my husband, but that's my road dog right there. You know what I'm saying? So we might have those moments, but we have that friendship. But I think what's prepared me was having to understand that it could not always have to be my way. And, you know, we in a Burger King society, you know, I want it my way. That's what we want. And, you know,
is this recorded?
You do too many things and you just feel like, you know, because I feel like I think about things. I'm very methodical. So when I think about something and I come up with a solution, if I feel like you should have took that right turn and not them 3 lefts to get to that right, I feel like you should have took that right turn. That's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like because it makes so much sense to me that everybody should have just made that one right turn. Yes, you took the second lefts and you got there eventually, but I'm like, we could have got there quicker if you would have thought about it and made that right turn. So I had to learn to bite my tongue and understand that there's more than one way to get to an end result.
Can you email me this when we're done?
And when you make them 3 left turns to get there, all you needed was a right, I have to close my eyes and go to sleep. So that I won't say nothing. Because I'm gonna have an argument, like you said, Nay. You got to pick your battles, and I literally have to go to sleep. Like, some things I got to go to sleep on.
But see, the easiest solution is, why don't y'all drive?
Seriously, where do I spend this time?
But no, I think I just had to learn patience, and it's not about always having my way. It's about the relationship. It's about compromise at times. It's give and take, and it's understanding that we're in it together. That it's not just because I was always in the beginning, I was like, I got it, as opposed to we got it. So looking at it as removing me from the equation and looking at it as in we are a team and we're doing it together. What you got, sir?
I want to cook in all these answers.
What
I want
you
to write
got?
this down. I should have been recording myself. My thing for me, what changed was fourth. I had that unfortunate thing on my record where I've been divorced. So I was married before. And I think what changed for me is that really I got my relationship with God, honestly, right? And it kind of comes to that point where it's like, okay, so you know that if you want to have sex, you can't anymore, right? In the right context. So, and I never really had a problem. I kind of like similar with Mike, I was a womanizer, right? It was like I needed to having one was never enough. You should have a team. It's like 5. So if one got on your nerves, you just go hang out with the other one, and it's fine. And once breaking up with you on the phone, you're talking to the other one on the other line. So you're like, okay, bye, and you're moving on. And when I finally gave my life to Christ and it started to change for me, I realized one, I was wrong for living that way, and I couldn't do that anymore. And it kind of prepared me because I could commit to something, but it was about commit to the right person. And so going through my first marriage and realizing the mistakes I made as well, it kind of prepared me more for this one to kind of come in with a different mindset and attitude about it. But I was prepared more for that commitment because really my lifestyle changed. That was the big thing. I got my relationship. I gave my life to Christ. It changed who I was. And then I was more prepared for commitment and being a husband at that point.
But let me just add, because, I am wife number 2. But he would always try to tell me, this is how he would come for me. He'd be like, well, you have to understand what it means to be a wife because I've been married before. And he said that one too many times one day. I said, listen, you don't compare to me. So I'm going to need for you to adjust. Like, but we made it work. We still here later. Somebody. Nobody but the Lord.
Oh, I love y'all. Okay, so we talked about we can ready to take some comments from Facebook, but before we take some comments from Facebook, at this time I want y'all to start writing some questions that you have for our 2 panelists in the comments. But my question to you is today's topic: what happens after the honeymoon?
It gets real. It gets real in these streets. It's do or die.
What happens after the honeymoon? I need you to elaborate on that.
I was ready because I got married when I was older, and I had
stubborn.
I was successful in my career. I had my own place, and so for me, it was like I don't have to be married.
I don't need a man.
I can walk away and I'll be okay because I've been okay before I got married. And so for me, it was taking the thought of my mind, I don't have to be here, versus saying
after y'all got married. This is after we got married. This is what your response.
This was some years after we got married.
But the first 2 years was rough. The first 2 years, boy, it was like, Lord, what's my sin?
We got role reversal. You think a woman would you would figure that I would have commitment issues? No, that was her. She had commitment issues. I thought marriage came with an escape plan, a clause, and opt out.
I mean, it was because I had to, because that I feel like the honeymoon is not just that. In my opinion, the honeymoon is not just that week you go away after your wedding. I feel like the honeymoon is all that time leading up to the wedding, because that calling, that talking, and all that stuff. That he was washing the dishes every time I cooked. He was like, "Yeah, when we get married, I'm always gonna wash the dishes." We got married. He stopped washing the dishes. You know what I'm saying? Literally, it was the idea of what marriage was going to look like, because we never lived together. So you got to realize we never lived together, and then we all of a sudden we're married and we're living together, and so then we saw each other's ways. Like, he used to lay on my white comforter, and I was like, a white comforter is not meant to be laid across. It's there for decoration.
Like, it's a comforter, lay on it.
But it was like, there were like small things, but it was like literally having to adjust to me leaving the house and him saying, "Where you going?" And I'm like, "I'm grown. I ain't got to tell you where I'm going." It was like, "But we are couple. You married now." So it was a lot of adjustments because I was set in my ways. And so while the idea of marriage looked attractive when he lived somewhere else and we talked on the phone, and then we didn't have to see each other all day long. But when we had to live together and work on issues together, then it was like, I'm ready to throw up my white flag and jump ship, because I clearly have made a mistake. But I think that was where I had to make the decision. I can't run from it. I couldn't be a runaway bride like the movie. Since Mike was referring to movies, I couldn't be a runaway bride because I was come back. So I literally had to tell myself, you know what, I need to be committed to this relationship for it to be successful. And that's also compromising and just working through our differences.
And I think the saying is true when they say you truly don't know someone until you live with them. I like to say you truly don't know someone until you marry them and live with them. Because we did the same thing, kind of similar to Mike and Nate. We talked, right? And our first, 40, 50 conversations were 4 and 5 hours long, and we talked. But we weren't spending all of our time together. We didn't have to see each other all the time. So when we got off the phone, we both went and did whatever we wanted, right? Because we had spent time together and we had that. But when we lived together, we discovered that we're not spending all our time together, right? And that kind of became the thing, because I think some of it, because I gave her my time when we were dating, because we were intentional. That was the thing. We were intentional about the time we spent together. When I was like, okay, we spent together, we got up at 8, it's 4. Okay, right? We spent time together. I'm going to go do something else. And in her mind, she was like, but you're here. I'm like, I'm always going to be here now. I can go do something else, and so can you. And I think that's when we put on our quote, we had to readjust afterwards. After the honeymoon, you start learning to live together and build a life together. And that's the hard part. Leading up to the honeymoon, you have the ideas of what the marriage is going to be, what you think it's going to be, what you may have seen in the movies, or what somebody else tells you. But after the honeymoon, you have to start building your marriage and your relationship. And it changes. What we thought we were going to be before we got married changed once we got married, right? And you have to learn then and continue to grow. So you have to learn to love the whole person, because you may not have seen everything about them when you were dating. Oftentimes, whether it's intentional or subconscious, people put their best foot forward when they date. You don't get to see the flaws. Did they leave the cap off the toothpaste? Did she leave her clothes all over the floor when she comes home? Right? Does she even leave her dishes in the living room? And the living room is for living, not dishes. It's going to kitchen. And
you get a little too personal.
And I had to learn all. I'm like, what? Okay. Why did I just come home and the knife that you used to spread jelly on the toast is on the counter by itself? Like, so you learn all these things, really? And you start to see the whole person.
They're learning these things too. I
tell her. So I think your idea of marriage starts to adjust, and you learn to have life that's together, and you spend time together. But you also learn that you can be apart, even though no matter how you dated, you spend all your time together because you're intentional. And I think that's the other thing that you have to be when you get married after the honeymoon is you have to be intentional, right? For that time you spend together, the activities you're going to do. And so it comes to that readjusting to it. And it's a constant process. That better or worse, you're learning to love the person when they're the best version of themselves or they're the worst version of themselves because you made that commitment. And everybody wants the best version. But some days when people go through things and they go through things in life, you get the worst version. And you have to be able to love that person both ways. And you learn that over time. Everything's not a crisis. That's what it was for her. Everything was a crisis. I'm out. I'm done. And I'm like, it's okay. We'll get through this. The sun is going to shine tomorrow. It's fine. And she's like, it's the worst thing ever. Pack your bag, I'll pack mine. One of us can stay at the house, though. One of us, right? But you learn that. You kind of readjust and you realign after the honeymoon. Honeymoon makes everything seem like it's going to be great. And then you start living in your marriage.
And you're constantly adjusting. As we grow, like COVID, our marriage has shifted with COVID because of the dynamics of how we work in the same home. So, you're constantly, you can't be so set in how you were married in the previous season that you're not adjusting to the new season that you're in your relationship.
Nay?
I think that is a really hard question, I think, for me, only because of the fact, like you said, we were together and living together for 10 years before marriage. So after we got married, nothing changed. It really, honestly, nothing changed because I'm like, well, you was already in a monogamous relationship. Just because we had a wedding, all that did was put the ink on the paper. You know what I'm saying? Make it a little bit harder to leave now.
No, it's not.
So for me, I guess I don't think we really ever really went through a honeymoon phase. Honestly, because of the fact, like I said, we were living together. We already had our daughter. Already had bought a house. You know, it was really just making it official, more than anything. Um, so I don't know. Do you feel like we went through a honeymoon phase? Or?
Now, I was gonna say the same thing, man. For us, it's a little bit different. You know, we already living together, and we were doing so much. Even with COVID when it started, you read CNN or watch CNN. Excuse me, you watch the internet. So many marriages went downhill because of COVID because they were spending more time together. People didn't know how to act. Like, I see you more and more. I don't know what to do. That was norm for us. We always were together. Like she mentioned, I'll call her, she'll call me on our way to work. We just left each other. If I, for some reason, which I really rarely ever do, I think I may have missed it one time, as in giving her a kiss in the morning before I leave. She's quick to call me. Oh, you can't kiss me in the morning.
And he does the same though, because now it's the opposite. I leave the house and he at work, and if I don't give him a kiss because I'm running out the house,
because I'm trying to put it in her face, so when she walk out, I'm like this. You know what I'm saying?
I kiss her before I leave. Tweety just gone. She be in the car. Oh, I forgot to turn the stove off. I didn't get a kiss. Oh, I'll kiss you when I get back by.
See, yeah, exactly. But I mean, even for me, I mean, things. I wouldn't say that I'm a house father or whatever some people like to joke, but I try my best to balance out the equation, if that makes sense. Where it's always I'll do the quote so y'all can see because I'm on my phone. The men's supposed to take out the trash. The men's supposed to do the grass. Obviously she don't do the grass, take out the trash. She has, but I try my best to make sure that the kitchen is clean. If she works a long day, she comes over and cook. I don't think she should have to put it up. And I try to do things. I wash clothes, which I hate doing, and folding. I don't know where she get all these clothes from. I'm like, man, I didn't even see you wear all these clothes. Got me thinking. She cheating on me? No, I'm playing. I swear I'm playing. But I try my best to balance it out, because I know that she works hard, as she knows with me as well. So we really, our honeymoon has just been, I don't know, we've been doing this for so long. It's just the norm, for me and her. I'm just being totally honest.
So we have some questions from our comments, and our first question is, through the rough times, what helped you to stay?
Our friendship.
Conversating, talking it through. My wife she ain't gonna let that happen. Like, one thing about her, one thing about my family, which I hate, Puerto Ricanos, puro, pure, us Puerto Ricans, if we mad at you, yo, I'm serious. She used to hate this, that you could be in the same room with someone and they act like you dead. Like, they won't talk to you. They don't say nothing to you. And my wife is different. Like, her family, she from the South Louisiana. Man, they could be fighting, fist fighting, biting each other. It could be hours later. They act like nothing happened. They all laughing and kidding together. So with her and me, if something that she doesn't agree with, because she's the only one that always want to argue, See, look, she about to start now. Look, but she's not gonna go that long without talking with me, because I am. If I'm upset, like, I ain't gonna say nothing because I don't want to say nothing bad. Nah, we're gonna talk about this, because we try not to be upset before we lay our heads down. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but the next day we definitely work through it, because I'll just talk to her like, "What, you still mad at me?" And once I get that little smirk, she's back.
No, I think I really agree with him. Like, it's communication. Because it's crazy how when we were younger, and my temper, which I have progressed tremendously.
Lies.
But as like when we would argue, and I remember like we would argue, and I remember we was arguing one time, and then like the next day, he was like, "You could be so mean." He was like, "Do you even realize what you say when you're mad?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He was like, "You said da da da." I was like, "I didn't say that." He was like, "Yes, you said that." And I was like, "Oh." I'm like, "Oh, that was some mean stuff." And but but I didn't realize that I was saying that, or because I was angry, and I know me, like, I feel that words can cut a person deep. Like, you can do something to somebody physically or whatever, and it's like, oh, it heals, you get over it. But words, if you cut somebody with words, you cannot take them back. Mm-hmm. So that was always my game plan. I'm gonna make you feel like you did small. like that little. So, um, so whatever I needed to say to hurt him, like I would say it. But sometimes I didn't even realize what I was saying. So when we sat down and we talked about like things that I was saying and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, that's mean. Like I can't say that. Like that's like I went too far. So it made me realize like, it was something that I needed to work on, because if this was the man that I love and somebody that I wanted to be with, then I can't tear them down verbally, because it takes a lot to come back from verbal abuse. It does. So like, and that was like a form of communication, because now we're talking about it when we were not angry. So I was able to accept what he was saying and then say, okay, this is something that I need to work on. Instead of just kind of saying, whatever, get over it. It was something that I say, I got to work on it. Now, it didn't change overnight, but, but it was something that because he communicated with me, he told me instead of him, doing the exact same, instead of you basically,
we ain't finna do the A. Don't let her get y'all, because I'm not trying to, throw out her awards. She got PhD in counseling, so she's trying to play y'all right now. Yeah, whatever. Congratulations.
Whatever. I said from the beginning, I'm still working on me. I am a work in progress, and I say that all the time. Like I am nowhere near perfect, but I have come a long way. I will say that.
Amen.
I would say for us, we agreed when we first got married that we never want our marriage to just look good in front of others. We agreed that if it ain't real at home when nobody's watching, we'll walk away from it. So that was our whole thing. So we always wanted to have an open communication. But I think the challenge was we didn't always say things. We said what we felt, but we didn't always say it correctly. So one of the things we had to do was we ended up going to counseling for a while, and she taught us how to communicate to each other better, so that instead of me saying you don't do this and you don't do that, I had to learn to say, well, I feel like when this happens, I had to use my I statements, and sometimes you slips out, but I'm learning to do better about that. But I think that was one thing, and I'll let you talk about the God factor when we couldn't talk to each other.
I think that for me, because I'm the one that's laid back. Like I don't like to argue with anybody. It takes too much energy. I don't want to waste time doing it. So I would say things, but I'm calm, right? I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to fuss. I don't want to do all of that. It's even funny. Like if I go to a sporting event, I can't yell. It doesn't even sound right if I yell. So we would talk. Now, Trina's not that. Trina was the person that has a temper at times. She still does at times. And so some of those things, like one day she was mad and we got to the rental car place on time, but she didn't like that I turned in the wrong parking lot. She was hot. I'm like, it's 7 feet over though. You can just step over the meter. And she was mad. She got out and slammed the door, and that's just I can't stand that. Like I can't stand slamming doors, throwing stuff out. Like I've never.
I don't
do that,
know
right?
stuff.
She doesn't, but she slammed my car door, and that's all I remember about that. That's why I remember the day. I said I had to do what I always do. Lord, did she just slam my car door? Okay, God, she's gonna be gone for 5 days, and you're gonna have to help me. So that's what I would always do. It helps me because I have to go, because I never want to see things from just my perspective. And oftentimes when we can't talk, God gives me her perspective. He helps me see the side, which then helps me not be as mad about it because I see something that's behind it, right? And Trina had a lot of things. She had insecurities and things like that that came out. And she would basically try to cover that up. She put a wall up, and I didn't really understand why the wall was towards me. And then God had to help me understand that it wasn't really towards me. It was just her defense mechanism. And then that helped me, right? I had to learn to love her past that. But if I don't have those conversations with God, then I'll talk to my friends, and everybody, your friends agree with you. She should have never did that. Oh, you're right. And that's not necessarily what you need at that point, because you need the other side and the other perspective. And so having someone to talk to, which is another reason why we went to counseling, gives you the other side of your spouse when the two of you aren't communicating as well as you could, right? And we communicate well, we talk, but sometimes we couldn't adequately put what we felt into words because the other person would either attack it or not hear it. And so talking to God helped me with that. And so when she would come back, I could then go back calm and understand, okay, and we could talk about it, and then we could resolve it. But for me, that's when I handle conflict. I got to go into prayer about it.
So My next question from the comments, it says, what advice would you give a new marriage couple watching?
Patience. You got to have those patience, man, because you know, like Tabin was talking about, man. You know, sometimes you're not going to agree with what everyone was talking about, not just him, but you know, we're not always going to agree. You know, like my wife said, you know, sometimes you got to agree to disagree. But you got to be open-minded. I mentioned this earlier. My wife taught me how seeing, you know, both sides of things. So that would be, you know, my answer.
I think for me, in any marriage, especially a newly wedded couple, I think communication is the key. Because any issue that you have, if you're able to communicate properly with each other, then you can resolve it. So I think communication is the number one key to any marriage.
Taven?
Have a separate bank account and a separate house, and then be ready. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. All right.
Yo, I love this guy. Yo, where you been all my life?
No, I agree. Communication is the most important thing, and it's been touched on. Being friends first is important because you're going to spend prayerfully. You're going to spend a lot of time with this person. You should want to spend time with someone you enjoy spending time with. You want to be friends and you can talk. You don't have to have anything to do. Doesn't matter how much money's in the account, whether it's overflowing or not. If you can just talk, you can always enjoy time with your spouse. And then patience. And the person that you marry at first may not be the same person that they are 10 years from now. And it's okay. Give your spouse room to grow and change as a person and learn to love them despite that, right? Anyway, I've done it also, right? So I'm a teacher and a preacher, and I usually use scripture for everything, and I've avoided it this whole time, but I do have one I got to put in there now. You know, the first marriage, God, when he married Adam and Eve, he said, there they stood, man and his wife, and they were naked and unashamed. The naked part means they could be completely open and honest and be completely who they were. The unashamed part means their spouse didn't make them feel bad for that. You want to be able to have that your spouse can be who they are. They can show you their flaws and their failures, and you never make them feel bad for being who they are for that.
I should have went first.
That was good. Yes.
So, I would say that remember that in the marriage that you're a team. It's not you, it's not him, it's you working together. Because when you go into with a team, you have a more of a let's do this together as opposed to doing it on your own. I think a marriage, in order for a successful marriage, both husband and wife have to be participating in the marriage. So you want to make sure you have that relationship and that unity together.
Okay, I have one more question. It says, how do you deal with your partner's bad habits? As dishes, living room, clothes, not cleaning up, keeping.
What is 6 o'clock? This was great.
How do you deal with your mate's bad habits? Who wants to go first? Because everybody's
So I would speak for the Garretts. I mean, you can join me, but
I'm gonna answer at 6:05.
First of all, you have to understand that no relationship is perfect. Like, there are things that he may feel like I don't do, but there's things that I feel that he doesn't do. So it's a trade-off. It's not that he's not the only one with bad habits. I have bad habits too. So I'm having to learn to give grace where I want grace extended to me. But sometimes you got to figure out the workaround, the happy medium. Like, my husband is not going to cut the grass on a regular basis. So I don't want to go outside and see a safari jungle. So you know what? We hire. Oh yeah, we put the business out, dog. You talking about? We're going there. So what we do, we hire somebody to landscape the yard. I am not a fan. I'm not the best cleaner in the world. I've said it on camera. Come through. So what?
Not the best.
So what did I do? I hired somebody to come in to clean the house every so often. So I'm saying we had to find things that we were willing to compromise on, as well as getting help where we needed in those areas, so that we could try to make that work. But again, where we couldn't find that gray area, we had to extend grace.
I think the other part of it too is you learn. I think one of the things for me, kind of when we got the person that came in and cleaned from time to time, is she didn't necessarily pick up how I felt, how I was raised to have keep the house clean, and so it bothered me for a while. But I had to kind of make a choice. Right, there are some things that a person can get over if they make enough effort, but there are some things that takes an entire mindset to change. Their entire mentality has to change. And that takes growth in a relationship with Christ. And that's not going to come overnight. So I had to decide, is this worth being mad and argue over so we're both unhappy? Or am I going to shift and look at it differently? And so what I do from time to time, if there's clothes on the floor, I pick them up. That's no point in saying anything because it doesn't, we talked about it, and it's going to take time. I pick them up. So you have to pick, like Mike and they said earlier, you have to choose your battles. And you don't want to constantly pick on something that someone doesn't do well because you're always going to argue. Then your marriage is going to be unhappy. So for me, it took a personal adjustment. And then I just carried to God in prayer to get help too. But it's a personal adjustment. And if it bothers you that much, you do it. So you don't have to worry about it.
Drop the mic. Garrett's out.
Michael,
They look frozen.
they are.
Yeah, I think they lost connection.
They froze.
Or they doing the best mannequin challenge.
Yeah. They out of here. So they'll be back. But yes. So I guess my question would be to you, how long did that take?
The adjustment part of it took quite some time. Because I know at first, I kind of, so if Trina would bring up something that she wanted me to do, I wouldn't bring up something I wanted her to do right then. I would wait a couple of days, but I would have a response, right? Because she brought it up, which is not how you should handle it. It should just be working on that person's issue. But it took a while for me to say, is this really that important? Should we have a disagreement about something as simple as she left a knife out or the dishes didn't find their way back to the kitchen, right? If I'm going to the kitchen, why don't I just pick them up and take them in there? Then it's solved. Then I'm not mad, she's not mad, and we can have peace in our household and we can be happy. And so that took some time to get there instead of me feeling like what people typically say, well, they should just do it. They should know how to do that. We all don't think the same. It's probably one of the reasons why they got married in the first place, because you marry someone that doesn't think exactly like you. Otherwise, you just marry yourself. So I think it took some time. It took some time. Let's be honest. It did. It took a couple of years.
And Taylor makes a good point. Sometimes when you're not marrying, sometimes when you're marrying someone, they're not exactly like you, but they complement you. So where you're weak, they're strong. So yeah, I might leave some dishes out and he's better about washing the dishes, but he doesn't like to cook. So I do a lot of the cooking. So it's like there's a trade-off. There's something that you should be able to complement each other and not expect that you're going to complement each other in the same areas. What makes a marriage good is where the areas where I'm weak, he's better at, and the areas that he's weak, I'm strong, so that we can have a balanced marriage as in a holistic view.
How strong is commitment when it comes to relationship, or how important is commitment when it comes to a relationship?
It's the most important thing for marriage. When you date, you can kind of, depending on how ingrained you made your life, separate it easy. But when you take those marriage vows, they're not marriage suggestions. So you're vowing no matter what, this is what I'm going to do. So you have to have a commitment and you have to set your mind that you're going to be committed no matter what happens. Right. And that's kind of the thing to a degree, but it's important. It's going to be the number one thing if a person wants to get married. It's not something that you do. Mike kind of talked about it earlier. People get married like they switch marriages like they're changing clothes and shoes. That's not commitment. You're saying, I love you enough that I'm going to join my life to yours. So you have to be committed and you have to decide that up front in your heart and be honest. Some people, it's not marriage. But if you get married in your 20s or your 30s and you plan to live just 60 or 70, that means you're spending 40 or 50 years with a person. And you have to be honest, can I do that up front? And you have to be committed. You have to take that vow seriously.
Michael, how important is commitment when it comes to a relationship?
It's very important. Sorry for the technical difficulties. My phone overheated and kicked us out, so I had to hurt and get back on my wife phone. But I mean, commitment is very big. You know, this is something my wife taught me. That's why I always say it's not so much the same concept. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. But me, the way I talk to females, I'm more just open. The way that I talk, it is just can be
Flirtatious.
disrespectful. What'd you call it?
Flirtatious.
Flirtatious. Whatever. Whatever helps us sleep at night. Uh, but no, but I was very open when I speak to women. I call them mama, mamita, stuff like that. Which it could be disrespectful. To her, how she takes it. I had to look at it a different way. What about if she was talking about that to a gentleman or male? When I feel some type of way. So commitment is very big for me. I try my best not to put myself in any situation because I am a reflection of my wife as she a reflection of me. I look at it as if I'm doing something with that person, they got to look at her and they're probably gonna be talking about me. Like, oh, if she only knew, what he be doing. Mm-hmm. So I don't give no, woman that satisfaction or satisfaction, whatever you want to call it. Sorry, my first language was Spanish, so I don't say all these English words perfect. So bear with me. Lo siento. Me oíste. But anyways, I don't even speak Spanish fluently. I'm just playing. But all serious talk, I mean, commitment is very big for me. My wife, when I first met her, because of the things that she went through, in an abusive relationship, from what she told me, anywhere she went, anything she did, it's always she's cheating on him. Where you about to go see some dude? You about to do something? I'm the total opposite. My wife, man can call her phone. Unless my wife give me the green light, Mike, I need you to do something for me. Oh, I get it. I get to turn into Hulk now. Oh yes, let's go. But other than that, I'm not jealous. You do you. I trust you. You know what I'm saying? Unless you give me reason not to. And it was the same way. Certain things that I did, when we were younger in our relationship, I did things to make her believe that something may be happening. Really not. But I did slip up, just the way that I talk. And I had to learn that I can't be like that. I can't open that door where someone may believe they have a chance with me, but in reality they don't. And that wasn't my intent. But commitment is very big for me.
My turn now.
Yeah.
Commitment.
Wait, all you got to do is just tell me, babe. I already have my ChristianMingle.com profile pic. I didn't say click send yet. As soon as I click send, oh, it's not going to be bad.
That's the book bag in the trunk to go.
No, seriously though, commitment falls in line with trust. You have to have trust, and you have to be committed. If you're not committed to the person that you're with, then what's the point of being in that relationship? If you're not ready to be committed, then you stay out there doing your thing. Why waste someone else's time? When you know that's not what you want at the moment. So I believe commitment is huge. Like I said, and that falls right in line with trust. You can't have a relationship if you don't trust your significant other. So if you're not committed or if you don't trust, or either or they don't trust you, you don't trust them, there's no way the relationship will work. So
that's our time. But I have one question for all of you before we leave. If you had to take one word to describe your mate, what would the one word be? Just one word.
Amazing.
Come on, amazing.
I don't have one word.
It's just one word. You got to follow instructions. One word.
Can I give it a word?
Loving.
No.
Loving.
Loving. Okay.
For me, best friend.
That's not one word, Nate.
Best friend is one word.
Give me my one word, Michael.
Yeah, she's an angel. She's my angel.
Angel. Okay. So that's our time. Again, I want to thank both of you for joining me on tonight. Before we go, from both couples, tell us what you got going on and tell everybody where can they find y'all on social media. If you have anything going on, and tell us Where can we find you on social media?
Well, me, I don't know none of my wife knows all my logins. All you gotta do is put in, Papi Chulo, Puerto Rican man. My face don't pop, but now I'm playing. No, I mean, I'm on Facebook, definitely friends with Nisha, so y'all can reach out, but I really ain't got nothing going on, just working, chilling.
Well, I don't really have anything going on, but if you're looking for a counselor or therapist, you can find me at UOM Counseling on Facebook. And my Facebook personal name is my name, Nay Vasquez. But other than that, that's all.
What kind of counseling do you do?
We do mental health, family counseling, individual, anger management. So we have it all.
Okay.
We
Katrina?
are certified life coaches. We have our own coaching academy, a New Mind Coaching Academy. Unfortunately, I'm not saying we're old, but that social media thing, we're not all that great. We do have individual Facebook pages you can reach out. Tammy Garrett, Katrina Garrett.
Katrina Walker Garrett.
Oh yeah, I leave the Walker out. We're trying to set up a website for that, but we do life coaching, transformation coaching. So if you're interested in that, you can find us on Facebook.
Katrina, anything you want to say?
Nope, he covered it.
Again, I'd like to thank both of y'all for all of y'all for coming on. I'm just saying, again, I'd like y'all to continue to tune in every Saturday, live at 5. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Periscope. Tune in next week with your host, NJ. I'm just saying goodbye.
Bye.
I don't know you. That's like Lee Studio.
Where is it?